Hi, everyone, and welcome to Creative Spirits. This is episode 8, which means the end of season 1 with Kate Darnell of Gumboots by the Sea and Sherrie McCarthy of Creative Mermaids. And guys, we're so excited today because, yeah, exactly. This is the end of our circle for season 1, and we've got so much to talk about. Try to tie it all together in the neatest, non-messiest way possible. And Kate, do you want to start or shall I?
Well, what we're mainly talking about this week, hi everyone, and episode 8, I can't believe how quickly this time's going, it all started with the trigger phrase, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. So really, I'm just going to put it over to you, Sherrie. Tell us about the trigger when someone said you're so lucky to be living the life of leisure that you do live on a boat. But trigger.
Exactly.
Share with us what comes with that assumption, often a little bit of judgment, or people often thinking that you have it better or easier than them. Comparison is the thief of joy after all. So what do you have to say on that, my love? And then I'll share my thoughts, of course.
Oh, so much, because like I said, there's just so many different paths. Like you said, versus choice. And what it comes down to is that it's never about luck. It's always about choice. And basically, you make your own luck. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't work out the first time. You can say, okay, I'm unlucky and accept that. Or you can say, okay, it just didn't work out the first time. I do it again. So it really never is luck. Luck is basically just having as many choices as possible, sticking to it, and just not giving up, which is essential. And this lifestyle in particular, first off, I think you have to be really careful of not just my Instagram feed. I try to be honest in my Instagram feed, but anyone's Instagram feed. It doesn't matter if they're writing, if they're traveling around the world, if they're sailing around the world, if they're living in the lap of luxury. I personally have had the opportunity to work for a lot of mega rich people and realize that money is not evil, but it doesn't make you happy either. So don't assume that all these picture perfect, and I watched this happen, like magazines coming in to shoot the family. Before the magazines came in and after they left, nothing but fighting, raging, screaming. But this picture perfect photo spread of this beautiful family and this beautiful house. And I got to see behind the scenes. And this is the thing with Instagram. It is a curated feed, people. I'll tell you my kid's flipping out, but I'm not going to take a picture of that because I just feel like that's not fair to my child. Anyone who's got a 3-year-old knows they all flip out. If you honestly think that because you've never seen a picture of my child flipping out that he doesn't, then you are honestly just beating yourself up for no reason. There's not a single 3-year-old out there who doesn't flip out. They all do. You don't need to see a picture of that to know that happens in my life. So this is all really important stuff to remember when you're looking at anyone's very curated feed. They're trying to sell you something, and it's a picture perfect life that doesn't exist. And this is why we started this whole creative spirits thing, that to let you show the raw, the messy, the middle, that this is what really happens. Sometimes you might hear screaming in the background because my kid is doing this. You're like, wow. And this actually happened to another sailor. She wrote that she was on the wharf and her 3-year-old was throwing a temper tantrum, and another sailor stopped and looked and said, wow, I never thought your kids threw fits. And she's like, what? Who are you? Exactly, right? Not just who are you, I don't know who you are, but like, who are you to think that just because I'm not showing these fits that they don't happen? So be aware of that. And I think that's really important. And the same with the last 2 days, my stove hasn't worked. In fact, it almost blew up there 2 days ago. Like, we don't use gas, so it's not really blowing up. It's more like too much fire going on, but contained fire, so we're safe. But again, I'm not taking down, and I just can't pick up the phone and call someone to come fix my stove. It's going to be an odyssey that might take another country before I get my stove fixed. So again, be very careful of being jealous of other people's lives because they're only showing a very nice fraction of it.
Absolutely. It really truly does come back to the story we give other people, other situations. And do you think, I love that this is the end of series 1, because I'm pretty sure it was episode 1 that we said perfectionism, being perfect, is a myth. It doesn't exist. And I think this whole idea of luck is a myth too. Because, sure, some people seem to have so much love, but some people are putting in a shite load of work behind the scenes as well. So not even just in trying to convince people within their little squares of social media that their life's perfect, but actually putting in the work. And whether that work is connecting to spirit and manifesting, or it is actually the hours of writing, the editing, the work's being done at Beautiful Souls. And as soon as we get out of our own way, and one of the biggest sabotages we can do is when we do that, throw that, oh, but it's easy for them. And I'll tell you what, some things have been made really easy for me. I've made a choice to be at home while my children are young. I've made a choice not to return to teaching and to build my business on a very part-time, when it works for me basis. Silas and I have chosen to be low income for a while. Like, these are all our choices, but it means I get to create, I get to connect, I get to support. And at the same time, simultaneously, I get to build a business and go, wow, through trusting and through believing in those choices, I'm actually going to have some really successful outcomes. And yeah, I can see how that can seem incredibly lucky, but it isn't without saying no to some things, yes to some things, and tuning in and believing in me.
Well, yes, and I do want to say something that too, because that is so absolutely true. And when me and Patrick first started saving for this trip, because everyone thinks it's actually been done through Go Euro, and it hasn't been done through Go Euro because Go Euro is not public. So we have shares in Go Euro, but we can't sell them. So right now it means nothing. It's actually been entirely based on savings.
Wow.
And so what we did, and same with the motorcycle trip, that was all savings. But it was a choice. And when we started saving to do these trips, like Patrick said to me, he's like, we can afford to do anything we want, but we can't afford to do everything we want. And this is an essential distinction. So yes, now we are traveling around on savings, but we lived like students for 5 years beforehand. So like, you know, we would have people over that, you know, Patrick was a CTO of a startup, and he would have his workers come in for him, you know, people who are technically, you know, his employees, and they're looking around at our apartment going, you know,
I love it.
Nicer than our bosses. Like, what's going on here? Because we very much made a decision to have a 1-bedroom apartment. We made a decision to furnish secondhand. We made a decision. I mean, part of that was also that I like the idea of secondhand, because I always think that it's not much nicer for the world, you know, but also it's not that I'm against buying brand new things, you know, and you can have some nice new things too. But we had to make that choice of, okay, well, do we want a beautiful apartment, or do we want to go on a world trip and have a boat? You can't have both. Some people can, but very few people can.
Yeah.
But that's very rare. Very, very rare.
Oh,
and
but
so,
Sherrie,
and sometimes
they're the lucky ones.
Yeah.
No, there's a story, and it's not our story. We have to stay in our own lane. We have to trust and believe in ourselves. Trust and believe that we deserve whatever our hearts desire, and that we can get out of our own way and go and get it. Yes.
And that's huge, because this also kept me back for a long time. So in terms of traveling, I always believed I could do that. That was never an issue. And this was actually something I just recently wrote about in the creative planner that I wrote. Because for me, I didn't realize that I was letting fear actually come into my creative life. Because I did travel the world. You know, I want to go to Japan, book a flight. You know, show up in some country and be like, I need a job. And everyone was like, oh, you're so fearless. It's so amazing. And for me, it was like, yeah, I'm fearless. But actually, I wasn't. It was easy. For me, this was exciting and fun. And I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. You know, Patrick went to South America. Oh, I want to go to South America. So I'll meet a guy I met like 4 times and hope he picks me up. And if not, well, at least I had fun in Argentina waiting for him. You know, like, but it was never, there's a thin line sometimes between bravery and stupidity. But in this case, if it was never the feeling of being afraid. However, laying claim to being a writer, coming forward and saying that, yes, that's what I want to do, that I couldn't do for a very long time. So yes, I could jump on a plane and go to a country where I didn't speak the language and had no money in the bank and hope to get a job. But telling people I wrote, you know, right? You know, I'm a stay-at-home mom now. You know, like before that I was a teacher. You know, as opposed to just standing in my power there and claiming it and saying, I think this is also where, you know, the mindset and the universe and everything comes into it. If I'm not sitting there and envisioning and telling everyone that I'm a writer on a regular basis, I'm not sending that energy out there to the world. I'm not showing up. People don't know. I think this is also really important when it comes to when you're doing your mindset work. Sit there, do the mindset work. Definitely do the vision boards, do the envisioning, feel that power. It's really important. Then go work your tits off. You know, because that envisioning, that power is to actually, when you want to quit, when you're ready to say, that's it, it's too much, I can't do this, that's when you click back into that feeling of, no, I got this. The universe is supporting me. I just need to do it. And if the first 10 times don't work, well, maybe 11 works or 12 works or 13 works. I guarantee you it will eventually work, but you just can't give up.
Can't give up.
Exactly.
And this is where, when I started looking at things as tests, and this is such a, a common thing for us, spirit-led souls to do. When you start looking for the test and you don't go, oh, well, knock down, when you go, all right, there's a lesson in this. And to the point now that I can almost find the lesson without being pulled into the drama or pulled down for too long at whatever the roadblock may be, which is, I'm going, yeah, this is good. I mean, it might not be
exactly.
for now, I'm like, this is really good. Look, I saw the lesson. I rise. But I think it's so important that we do look for the lessons, and we do take action. And sometimes the action has to be inaction. Sometimes the action has to be surrendering. Sometimes you can't make something. You do need that sign from the universe. You do need the better computer. You do need you do need to surrender and let the real magic occur. But if you're not in that lane where you are committed to self, committed to heart and soul's desires, free of fear and free of the sabotage where other people have it better than you, this is what destroys the magic, beautiful souls, beautiful listeners. This is what destroys the magic of us, right, Sherrie? When we start to, forget to just stay true to us.
And this is just it, because this is where, like I said, looking outside your lane, looking at these Instagram posts, starting to beat yourself up. This is you going outside your lane. This is all of a sudden you going, oh, wait, I can't do it. I guarantee you the other person is no freaking different. I love this Danielle Laporte thing where she says fearlessness is a big fat myth. And it's so true. That other person is also just as scared and also just as doubtful, or they were just as scared and doubtful 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when you didn't know them, when you weren't watching them, when they were making the mistakes, when they were doing the raw, stumbly things and they couldn't afford someone to come in and fix it for them. Because in the end, no one has the time to do everything, but you need to start somewhere and make the bad mistakes so that eventually you can get the traction to hire one person who can fix some of your mistakes or do something else for you. Or, teams, the reason why some of these big brands are so professional looking is because they're not one person anymore. They might be one person in front of the team, but they've got anywhere from 5 to 200 people behind them making them look good. They're polishing things, they're fixing things, so stop comparing yourself to someone who's 10, 15, 20 years ahead of you, even 3 years ahead of you, even a week ahead of you. It doesn't matter. What matters is that
lifetimes.
Exactly.
It could literally be just a whole different realm. And this is what I'm beginning to accept. It's that, we talked about it a few episodes back, like not everyone is going to be in true alignment with you or where you're at. And that's okay. I know that lots of my work resonates with loads of people, but it doesn't resonate with other people. And to the point, some people go, if I didn't know you, I wouldn't really know what you were sharing. And I go, and that's okay.
Exactly.
That's okay, because that is, I am enough. What I share is enough. What I'm doing is enough, because I'm trusting that what I'm doing in the moment is me and is real and is enough. And if we start now, this has sort of come full circle, but if we start to let that sometimes what could come across as constructive criticism, but if we start to take that on as judgment, as criticism, as if we choose to how we take on that information, how we take on that supportive, I guess, words, and that can really be damaging as well. When we go, oh, um, cool. No, I'm enough. I'm enough. And we've only got to be a little bit tired. We've talked about these triggers before. Forgetting to meditate, forgetting to sleep, forgetting to do our little rituals, for that to really bring us to our knees. And beautiful souls, this is where we stay in our lane. And when we do have the confidence and the courage to believe in ourselves, to remain aligned with our tribe, and to literally go, look, they're just their life's path, their soul's blueprint, their past life, however you want to look at it, is not in line with mine. And that is okay, because nothing, no one is getting in the way of me being me, which is perfect in this moment. Perfect in this moment.
Yes.
There's no worry, like fearing about how we're portraying on a social media platform, or how we look in a certain magazine, or wherever it is we're taking ourselves, if we're not bringing and being true to who we are in the moment, and not having pure love and pure acceptance of who we are in the moment.
Yes, and this is basically exactly what the whole, like the Buddhist philosophy is and whatnot, of staying in the moment. Stop living in the past. Exactly. Stop going into the future. Embrace right now, this moment, because that's all there is. All there is right now.
That's all there is. And we can get so caught up in talking about how to make it better, and this outcome, or when I have this, or when I do that. But what we forget to do, and I love that this is a beautiful ending to the first series. Don't worry, listeners, there's going to be plenty more series. But
exactly.
that is that when we remember that we are so perfect as we are in this moment, and that we can get caught up in these outcomes that may never ever come, and that Spirit has put us and brought us exactly where we need to be. Oh my goodness, like I'm just feeling like all the events of this week have like led me to this podcast to really shout this message from the mountaintops, to say this is where you need to be, beautiful souls. Whether you're listening to this winter on this side of Australia, on the other side of the world, summer, in 5 years' time, wherever you're hearing this message, you're being told that you are perfect right now. And this is all we have. And we can get so caught up in nitty-gritties. It can actually make us ill, us physically ill, us mentally ill. It can have us bitter, twisted, resentful. And pause.
And it goes back to control again, right? Like this false illusion of trying to control, and we can't. That's where we need to show up, do what we need to do, listen to our heart-led soul song, live in as much alignment as possible, and let it go. Because we have no idea what the future would have been. We like to pretend we do. Like getting so obsessed with one particular job or one particular outcome or any of these things. And, you're so absolutely convinced that this is what you need. And without it, when we don't get it, sometimes we get crushed. I think this is what I love about this universe or something better, because it lets go of the outcome. It's like, you've got a goal, you can work towards it, but for the higher, best possible outcome of all. Who knows what would have happened if you got that? Yes, you think based on your present information that this is exactly what you needed, but you don't know. So it's like, and maybe, like I remember listening to Gabby Bernstein once, and she said that, that one time she really wanted something and she didn't get it. And a couple years later, she did get it. And she was ready for it a couple years later. She wasn't ready for it then. She needed to make the mistakes. She needed to go through these other things before she was ready to handle that level of success. So we all want that level of success, but we're all, coming out of the gates, like toddling along like little babies going, I want to be a marathon runner. Yes, that baby can be a marathon runner, but he can't run today. No, he needs to make mistakes. He needs to train. But you know what? He can have a lot of fun and love it and still get a whole lot of reward for being who he is at that moment and just being there. Exactly.
Joy in the moment, the simple things that bring magic, that bring pure pleasure and pure joy. And one thing that I just thought of as well then is that, when, for my example, like the shoulds, you should be doing this, or, that's giving me this message. It's like, hang on a minute, my boundaries, literally lost the word. My boundaries are obviously really down because I fell into that trap and that critical, oh, overthinking, oh, should. No, I don't use that word. I don't use should ever with any.
Christopher Techie has a great thing. Don't should all over your life.
Right. And when I removed shoulds, and then the next thing was just, oh, I just wrote a book. Oh, I just do these healing sessions. No, I'm actually nearly finished my second book and my healing sessions are awesome. You know, no shoulds. And just, you know, looking. And do you know what? I think a little bit of reflection doesn't go astray either, because, you know, we do want more. We always are hungry for more. It's a human nature, human desire. But if we stopped and went, hang on, where was I 12 months ago? Where was I 12 weeks ago? You know what? Heck, where was I 12 days ago? I'll tell you where you were. You weren't in this moment. And every day is a new day.
Because I think we also forget that as we're working towards these goals, we're becoming a different person. So by the time we hit our goal, we've worked towards it. So we've gone from here to here. And then all of a sudden we forget that this is not a jump. You know, this is a slow progress. So then when all of a sudden we have the book in our hands, so many people talk about this, of feeling let down, of feeling this like, oh, what is this? But if you could go back, you know, to 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, however long it took you to write that book, and took that person and catapulted them into the future to hold a book, you would have had that high. You would have had that ecstatic, you know, like, I did it. But it doesn't work that way. And we've got to stop thinking it does. And then shooting all over ourselves when it doesn't work out that way. You know, instead you become a different person. Now you've got new goals. Now all of a sudden just finishing a book isn't enough. Now you want to market it. Now you want to become a bestseller. Maybe you want to change someone's life. You've got different goals now, and that's fine. But that's why it's so essential to stay in the present moment and to enjoy it. And if you're really not enjoying it, you need to step back and do that check-in and be like, okay, why not? Am I telling myself something else? Have I said yes to the good and forgotten about the great? You know, and I've kind of gotten off my path. So instead of having a great path, I have a good path. And that's a tricky one, because that's the hardest one to fight. It's very easy to say no to bad stuff. It's not so easy to say no to good, so you can say yes to the great.
Yeah.
And then you start shooting yourself. Or again, one of the other episodes with the gratitude of going, well, at least I have this, and at least I have that, and at least. No. Like, yes, definitely enjoy what you have. Exactly. But more, please. Thank you, universe. More, please. Start working towards what you really want.
Definitely. Do you know, it's so true, because I've been going back and editing Poems to a Wild Gypsy Spirit, and I'm like, no, leave it. This is right. This was right. I want this finished. I want this in the book. But because I have this desire to write my next one, you've got to love this, when you're really the creative, like, got so much I want to say. I'm like, okay, need to finish that off. And have had to remain in the present moment and stay true to what's in line with my heart and soul, which was Poems to a Wild Gypsy Spirit is going out into the world. And I think I actually spoke about it last new moon, so this is really keeping me accountable. But to take that moment to reflect, take that moment to you know, pause, and then remember that it's all out of our control. And if it's in true heart and soul alignment, keep going with it, or be able to be brave enough, be courageous enough to go, no, that doesn't serve me anymore, let it go. Like, okay, or yes, doing this, why? And it does come back to self-care, doesn't it? And making sure that we're checking in with self, we're caring for self, prioritizing our needs, because then we can give back to the world in whatever ways works for our precious zone of genius, our capabilities, our unique self.
Yes. And this is actually why I love our podcast so much. Because,
me too.
you know, it is easy to be telling you this is what you need to do. But it's very difficult to stay in that lane and do it ourselves, right? But we share that, and I'm glad we share that. I'm glad we do the messy and the raw, and, you know, this is not even pretending to be perfect, because we don't want to be, because you can't. So stop trying.
I'm absolutely not pretending that everything I'm saying is coming from my own experiences just this week. Also, I'll tell you what I do, full disclosure time. I've actually been listening to the podcast the week that we release them, and every time, sometimes I'm like, wow, who is that person even talking? Like, who are they? Because I do believe that spirit has brought us together, and this is so spirit-led that our energy does infuse, and we go, ta-da! But some days I am in the big, wrapped up in the cardi, sipping tea, going, I can't do anything other than just sit here and listen to this really, really empowering podcast and go, oh, is that actually me? Wow, cool. So
and that's
really
fine.
healing, even if
Exactly.
I already know that we're giving back to more than just my tired self. But, I mean, who cares if we're not? Because this is what it's about. It's about showing up. It's about being true to us. And we are just begging more beautiful souls, our beautiful listeners, to trust in you and trust that you have something to share, and to not let anyone fool you into thinking you can't be all of you.
Yes, yes, yes. That needs to be a pulled quote at some point. If I can go through and do what I've been threatening to do.
Them again.
Which I keep saying I'm going to do, and then I don't. So, again, guys, there's lots of stuff I want to do that I'm not doing at the moment.
My internet's slightly better over here, my love. Yeah. Yes, I'm just making a note about that quote that I've already forgotten. But
go back, find quote.
Be you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I just love that this is true creative flow. This is truly heart-led, trusting in soul and spirit, and trusting in our spirit-led connection to create true magic, which, let's just cut through the dross, isn't always pretty, cannot be highly produced, because there's that classic saying, like, you can't polish a turd, but you can roll it in glitter. Do you know that one?
I haven't heard that.
Oh, it just came
That's
to me.
awesome.
But, when we're not about the pretending here, we're not about making the poop look pretty. We're happy to splatter a little bit of that glitter around the mess, and honor that the cocoon and the butterfly phase and the constantly evolving is just what is happening before all of us, and we're perfect in this moment where we are, however we are.
Exactly, and just trying to embrace that,
It's always so easy. I like, this Kate comes out, it's exactly the same. This is why I have the boundary of business Kate and Kate, because Gumboots by the Sea, she comes out and I'm like, who was that? Where did you do that from? It's definitely a different energy, a different sort of sanctum, because I just go, whoa, what came out of her mouth? Like, I would never sit across someone and say some of the stuff that I say within that healthy, vessel of Gumboots by the Sea, blah, blah, blah. But again, that's trusting in spirit. That's believing in self enough to be able to say that, I take on, a different spiritual energy. And this is what I just, encourage all of our listeners to do, is trust in themselves so they can do whatever works for them.
Exactly. And if the trust is not there, it's okay. Trust that it will come. Trust that, because I think this is also something that I've been very guilty of.
Yes.
I look at myself and I go, I should know better. I should do this. I should do that. Where am I doing this? And I'm like, no, it's okay. You know what? Maybe you did things in the past that you shouldn't have done, or you should have known better, or you let yourself get down. But you had to go through that experience so you could have some humility for those who are still there. Yes. Because when I think of myself in my early 20s, I was not humble at all. I mean, I like to believe of myself that I was very caring, and I wanted to help people, and I really wanted to help people. But when I really look back, I think the intention was there, the heart was there, but I didn't understand how someone could let themselves really slide back. And I thought I did. I really did. I mean, I worked in rape crisis centers. I worked in the Women's Resource Center, and I saw a lot of pain, and I really thought I understood it. And then I went through my own pain, and I realized, oh no, I was an observer. I was a compassionate observer, but I was an observer. And not until I went through my own, oh my God, have my heart ripped out, stomped on, fed back to me, and punched so hard I threw it up again, did I realize, whoa, now I have true compassion. And so part of me sometimes thinks, why did I let myself slide back so far? You know, why did I let myself drown in motherhood? Why? Shooting all over my life. And then I realized these were experiences that I had to have. I needed to go through that. I needed to learn that. This was all part of human nature, and I had to have compassion, not just for others, but really for myself, because if you don't have compassion for yourself, you're not going to have compassion for others. And this is something that I've also learned, that the people who are hardest on themselves are the hardest on other people. So they are doing to you what they do to themselves. And I think this is also really important then to remember that if you're not there yet, if you're really at a part where you're like, everything I do is wrong and so-and-so tells me the same thing, just be like, okay, that's where I am right now. That's fine. This is where I start. And if I slide back, that's where I start. Every day, this is where I start. This is where I start. This is my journey. And as long as you are aware, you will make progress. You will go forward. And then when you stop being aware, like we talk about, stop doing these little rituals, stop checking in, stop meditating, you find yourself sliding back. Well, now you stop sliding back faster. It's the nice thing. So instead of beating yourself up that you're sliding back again, you go, wait, I caught myself. That's something I couldn't have done last year. That's something I might not have done 5 years ago. I might not even notice I was sliding 10 years ago. You know, so I think this is also really, really important with the whole, this now. You only have now. Work with now, please, listeners. This is so essential.
Definitely work with
compassion and love.
Compassion and love. And I always think we're wrapping up and then it's like more. We
can actually end there if you want.
I just wanted to make a little snippet, and this will be something that we definitely go back to in our next series, is that it's so easy for us as we lose that trust or forget to just be kind to ourselves, have compassion for self, is to give up on spirit. And I think, you know, a nice little message as we go on our tiny mini break before we prepare series 2 is like, it's so easy to give up on spirit as a default. But I truly believe that's like giving up on yourself, you know, giving up on your child. Work with self for whatever connection works for you, whether that is just your own personal higher self or whether you do trust in a source or a God or a being greater than you. Bring that back into heart and soul and allow the lessons. Be kind to yourself as you fall into this. I straight away go to that trust, but be kind to yourself as you do develop some trust, some kind of relationship with self that will strengthen a connection to this, you know, this higher power that is here supporting us all.
Exactly. That's actually a lovely note to end on.
Phew. So beautiful soul.
Pressure off.
Sherrie, as always, thank you. Internet spirits worked very well with us. Perfect.
Because it was on and off all morning.
Amazing.
I honestly thought we weren't even going to connect.
Okay, I know. You'd prep me for that, but here we are showing up, and it's all working for us. So
and probably the best connection we've had yet.
I was thinking that. I was thinking the flow. My goodness. So we are saying a beautiful good evening, hello, sweet dreams. Have a happy day wherever you are. We love you. We love you. We love you, Sherrie. Thank you. Recording these past 8 episodes and all that's to come. Just is such a pure, total delight, and it's so inspiring, and it really is real-time healing that I am certain is healing others. So yay for us for showing up and just starting, and I really hope our listeners can do that too. So that's a goodbye from me. How about you, Sherrie? Final note?
Same thing. Lisa Kate just kind of did it perfectly. But yes, so glad that we've had this opportunity. It's been so amazing. I'm really looking forward to season 2 and everything it's going to bring, because like I said, this was our practice run.
Right.
You know what? I'm showing up and owning it. We did good.
Manifesting our dreams, mindset. We have so much to talk about already. So we'll see you all really soon. Speak to you really soon. And loads and loads of love. Bye.
Bye.